Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Master the NEC, where we talk about the National Electrical Code and all things electrically related, sponsored by myceudepot.com. That's myceudepot.com. Visit that site, get all your continuing education, pre-licensing, OSHA training, all online. It helps support our program. So again, just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, myceudepot.com. Well, today's episode is going to be a quick one. We're trying to cut these down because we did have some people who love our shows but says, I just can't listen to an hour show. So we're going to do some shorter ones here that kind of can help you. Also, will tell you that all of our shows are available on the iTunes store for no cost. They're free. Spreaker, you can go to our website at masterthenec.com. You can download them there. There's a little podcast link. You can click on it. You can listen to them live from there. There's tons of ways. Also, all these shows do get uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you could go there as well and listen if that's your preferred listening choice. Well, today's show, we're going to go over a real quick change in the code, and the reason we did this is because I was at one of these big box stores, and I was looking through the aisles, and I saw these new receptacles. Not so new to me. I knew about it being on the code panels. But the new ones with the USB chargers built into it. So these are like Class 2 applications that are built into these receptacles. Now, in the past, you did see these at the stores and things like that. But there was no requirement for them to be listed in the 2014 NEC. So in the 2017 NEC, there was a change. And that change required that these devices be actually listed. And so you do have some that mount on the outside to simply plug in the receptacle, but these are the ones that actually are a receptacle and a USB charger. I'm sure there are plenty of them that come in from China, so just be careful. They have to be listed. So let's kind of look at the code a little bit, and I will tell you what's going on. So 406.3F is new. That's a new item here in the 2017 NEC. And if we look at the code, it states that it's, receptacle ratings and types is what's 406.3. And again, Article 406 deals with receptacles, cord connectors, and attachment plugs, or plug caps. So that's where you're at. So you always want to make sure you're reading the scope of 406.1 to know what you're dealing with. And of course, that's what we're dealing with. An attachment plug here, or receptacle or cord connectors. In this case, it's a receptacle, and it is a receptacle with a USB charger incorporated into the receptacle. Now, what's the code change? In 2017, it stated, and I'll read it directly from the code. It says a 125 volt, 15 or 20 ampere receptacle that additionally provides Class 2 power shall be listed and constructed such that the Class 2 circuitry is integral with the receptacle. Okay, so it's all one unit, and it has to be all has to be listed for that. So if you're going to the big box store and you see them, if it's in order to this now, if something you plug in into the receptacle itself, then that's not the same thing, and you can get those things all over the place. And there are some things out there. If you go to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, you'll find that some of them burn up and things like that. But definitely look and make sure that even those plug-in devices that are actually listed by third-party NERDL. Might be ETL is the most prevalent for little items like that. So anyway, make sure that. But when we're talking about the receptacle, they have to be listed. So typically they're going to be made by the large reputable manufacturers like Leviton, Pass and Seymour, and Eagle, all those type of things. If they produce one of these, you can be pretty sure that they've been evaluated, not a problem. All right, so that's new for the 2017 code. It's 406.3, item F. Again, in 2014 code, there was no provision that existed that actually required receptacles that did have Class 2 power available to them as part of the integral receptacle. It didn't have any listings, so to be honest with you, they got a listing as a receptacle. If they wanted to put USB component in there, they didn't have to meet any listing for that. Well, that has now changed. So, in 2017, that will be required. Now, what happened here? Well, the use of the USB, and that's called Universal Serial Bus, which is the standard method now for getting power to these Class 2 devices, are really commonplace. I mean, we use this for cell phones, for iPads, and everything, okay? And the real standards for the USB development all started back in the 90s. And of course, as you're probably familiar, the ends that plug into your phones or iPads or whatever have evolved, and they change them to different formats. Kind of sometimes ticks me off, because just when you get a right connector to use for your phone or whatnot, they turn around and they change it again. Or it's proprietary. You might have iPhones use a different one, like a Lightning, whereas they change it 3 or 4 times and forces you to have to get a new one. The only good side is if you still have the older product, usually you can buy them for hardly anything, the cords, USB cords, at the checkouts places like Lowe's, Home Depots, or Best Buy or whatnot for really cheap, because everybody's going with the new stuff. You got the old cords that are still available. So you just got to be careful with those, because sometimes they're not worth the letters that are printed on them. But just keep that in mind. So this new requirement that was actually added in 406.3, which is item F, again, it's really focusing on those class 2 component that's integral with the receptacle itself. Okay. Now, it's important to understand that when you're in the 2014 NEC, Article 406 contained requirements for the association of different types of receptacles, such as an isolated ground type receptacle, water resistant, tamper resistant receptacles, but nothing in there addressed the receptacle that had these 2 components built into it. So they could actually come from overseas. If you look at something and you say, wait a minute, I know how much a receptacle costs, and it's so dirt cheap, and you printed on it with some name you're not heard of, be careful. Okay, these do need to be listed now. All right. So that came as a result of the public input that was submitted for the 2017 cycle, and that public input was 1371. In case you want to go look it up. But then when the members of the code panel got together, they obviously edited it a little bit and changed it to make it sound better or be more relevant to what was being submitted, and that becomes a first revision. And that first revision was FR 5101, and that's what came into place. So that is your little change tidbit for today. It was the change to allow those receptacles with the built-in USB. Make sure they are listed by a third party, NRTL. Again, you can find out all you want in the code about NRTLs at 110.3c, which should give you information where to go on the OSHA website to make sure that your third-party NRTL, like FM, ETL, or Intertech, or UL, and all those are up to date, because sometimes those companies come and go. Okay, and be careful of the marks. Make sure you're not getting a counterfeit mark. Make sure if something looks too good to be true, then it might be too good to be true. So, at any rate, that's our show for today, guys. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm buying a couple of these things, because I got these little chargers everywhere. They get lost. I got an actual work desk area over in my kitchen that I want to put 1 or 2 of these things in, the receptacles that are there. That way we can just simply plug the cords. I don't have to worry about the charging brick or anything like that. Sounds like a great idea. Now I'm glad they are listed. Okay, so that's the show for today, guys. Thank you. God bless. Until next time, stay safe.